The Classic TV channel is your happy trails to golden oldies television from the 1940s through the formative years of the 1950s and 60s. Enjoy restored TV shows Mickey Rooney Show, Groucho Marx, Trouble with Father, Terry and the Pirates, One Step Beyond, Beverly Hillbillies, Bonanza, The Lucy Show, Dick Van Dyke, Annie Oakley, Ozzie and Harriet, The Howdy Doody Show, and many, many more. Binge your night away. So return with us now to those golden days of yesteryear.
Public Defender. The public defender is a public servant employed by the community and responsible for giving legal aid without cost to any person who seeks it and is financially unable to employ private counsel. It is his duty to defend those accused of crime until the issue is decided in a court of law. The case you're about to see started out as a 3-line news item on page 16 of the largest newspaper in the city and ended up with headlines on page 1.
Let me go. I didn't do anything.
Sure, just like you didn't do anything a couple of years ago. How about this?
I bought that watch yesterday.
Why aren't you wearing it? It's a wristwatch.
I bought it for a present for a friend.
Come along, Foley. You'll get your chance to tell the judge about it.
Please, let me
go
go.
on. Get in.
What were you doing at that jewelry counter, Ray?
I was looking at a watch. There was a sale on and I needed one.
Lieutenant Henson reports that he saw you pocket a watch.
That's not true. I had enough money to buy one. I was going to buy one. Then I saw Hanson, and I remembered what he did to me last time.
What about that signed confession, Ray? The district attorney will introduce that as evidence.
I had to sign that, Mr. Matthews. Hanson beat me until I did. Look here and here. Hanson's fist did that. He cuffed me all around that room till I couldn't see. I didn't know what I was doing. He wouldn't let me go until I signed it.
Or wasn't there another officer present during the questioning?
For a while, then he went out for some coffee. I saw Hanson give that other detective the high sign. He wanted him to leave so he could be alone with me, so he could make me confess.
I'll see what I can do, Ray.
Believe me, Mr. Matthews, I didn't try to steal anything. Get me a trial soon. Let the judge and jury see what Hanson did to me. That confession doesn't mean a thing.
There were several puzzling factors about the Foley case, but my only concern was to defend my client against the charges that were brought against him. Hello, Ed. What's on your mind?
Read my paper today?
Oh, I haven't had time.
Read that building fraud article. We've got those contractors dead to rights.
Yeah, nice work, Ed. I'll have to read it later. I got too much on my mind now.
Like, Ray Foley?
Like Foley and about a dozen others. What's your interest in Foley?
He sneaked this letter out with a prisoner who was released last night. The editor got it this morning. It's big news, Bart. Police brutality has no place on the American scene. The boss wants to splash it front page. Let's work on it together.
I don't like this any more than you do, Ed. If it's true.
It's true, all right. The police department has rights, but they don't include beating confessions out of prisoners. Now, let's cooperate on this, and we can bring that strong-arm stuff right out into the open and have a few guys like Hanson fired off the force.
My job is to defend Foley, not to prosecute a member of the police department for alleged brutality.
Alleged? I just saw that kid. Hanson beat that confession out of him.
Possibly. But it's my client's word against Hanson's.
Don't be naive. Foley isn't the first one to be forced into signing a confession. The DA will dangle it in front of the jury, and that poor kid will be sent to the joint for 10 years.
If Foley is innocent of that shoplifting charge and he was coerced into signing that confession, he'll go free.
How?
By getting the proof.
Well, that's why I'm here, Bart. Now, we can work together on this. The newspaper will give us all the help we need.
I don't like this, Williams. I don't want you to make any unsubstantiated charges. I've always worked with the police department, and I intend to maintain a good relationship. This would kill it.
A good relationship with a bunch of sadists.
Not a bunch, a few rare exceptions. No, Ed, I'm not going to work with you. I'm not going to let you use the public defender's office to sell your newspapers.
Okay, I'll do it myself. Take a look at the front page tomorrow.
Hold it, Ed. Now, my advice is to be careful. There are laws that protect citizens, even policemen, from slander and libel. Now, this front page could cost your newspaper a lot of money. I understand legal fees come pretty high outside of the public defender's office.
I'll take my chances.
My next move was to investigate Foley's charges of a coerced confession.
That's all. Now, Mr. Matthews. Foley. Here it is. I mugged him at 8:15 that night.
How long did it take?
Oh, just a few minutes.
I had a copy made from the file. This the one you took?
Looks like it.
There were no cuts or lacerations on his face?
Camera doesn't lie. That's the way he looked when he walked in here.
Uh-huh. And where would he go after he left here?
Up to the 3rd floor to get dressed in.
Thanks.
Now, wait a minute. Lieutenant Hanson was waiting for him. I think he took him to his office for questioning.
Thanks.
Next man. Wipe that smile off your face.
I took Foley in at 9:50.
Now, let's see. That would mean he was in with Lieutenant Hanson for an hour and a half.
Well, I wouldn't know about that. They sent him up here. I put him away.
Now, what was Foley's condition when you took him into the cell?
Condition? He looked sober to me.
No, I mean his face. Was it cut, bleeding?
Why all the questions?
Well, it's Foley's contention that Hanson forced him into signing a confession, used his fist to get it. Now, how was Foley's face when you took him into that cell?
I didn't notice. It was dark. I just took him back to Tank 3 Easy and locked him up. Why don't you ask the lieutenant?
Now, Foley said that he asked for hospital care.
That's right.
And what time was that?
11:10. I sent a trustee up with him.
Well, did you happen to notice how his face looked when he came out of the cell?
I didn't notice.
Oh, thanks. Thanks very much.
Yes, sir, I remember Foley. I took care of him.
What was his condition?
Very badly beaten up. Cuts, bruises.
Well, what would you say was the cause of the wounds?
Apparently a fight.
What about his hands? Were there any knuckle bruises, as if he had fought back?
No, I don't think so. There's no indication of it here.
Well, thank you, nurse. You've been very helpful.
You're welcome.
Now, they took you to the tank at 9:50. The jailer has no recollection that your face was marked.
He wouldn't. He's a cop. They're all alike. They stick together.
Now, why did you wait until after 11 o'clock before asking for hospital treatment?
Well, I thought the bleeding would stop, but it didn't. It began to hurt, and I couldn't sleep.
Uh-huh. Now, 2 years ago, you were arrested by Hanson for stealing a car. How did you plead? Guilty?
Yeah. I was running around with a couple of fellows. I didn't know any better. But I haven't done anything like that since. Up until a couple of weeks ago, I've been working at the factory. I got laid off, but they promised to call me back.
And how did Hanson treat you at the time of that arrest?
Rough. He pushed me around plenty. He didn't have to. I told him I was guilty, but that didn't stop him.
Now, there were 3 men in that cell when you came in. They could witness the fact that you were cut and bleeding. If we could find them, but they've all been released. Transients.
Well, what do you want them for? Get me a trial soon. Let the judge and jury see what Hanson did to me. One look at me and they'd know he forced me to sign that confession.
I'd rather have the proof. I'll talk to you again, Ray. Excuse me, Lieutenant Hanson?
That's me.
Public Defender's Office.
What can I do for you?
Well, I'd like to talk to you alone, if you don't mind.
Sure. Come back a little later, Pete. We'll go over the rest of it then. What's on your mind?
I'm representing Ray Foley.
You've got nothing to represent. I caught him cold.
Do you mind telling me about it?
Foley stole a watch in a department store. I followed him outside. I arrested him.
The watch was in his possession?
It was. It's all in the report. He signed a confession.
Well, Foley says that confession was obtained by force.
Foley's a liar. I didn't touch him.
Well, an hour and a half is a little long to question a prisoner, isn't it?
Some of them we questioned for days. I just sat there and looked at Foley until he spilled.
Are you sure, Hanson? You sure you didn't beat him up while you were looking?
Move along, Williams. I'm busy.
My newspaper is interested in the Foley case. His story of the confession and yours seem to differ a little.
I don't have to tell you anything, Williams.
Maybe you'd better go, Ed. I'd like to discuss this with the lieutenant alone.
The public's got a right to know what's going on. We got a letter from Foley stating that you darn near tore his head off getting that confession. What have you got to say about it?
I say the kid's nuts.
That's no explanation. What did you use? Your hands, a bat, a rubber hose?
All right, let's take it easy. No reason to lose our tempers.
Get him out of here, Matthews.
You don't scare me, Hanson. I'm not behind the bars. You're not clubbing a confession out of me.
I'm warning you.
Just because you've got a badge doesn't give you the right to slap people around, even if they are criminals.
I didn't slap anybody around. I tell you, the kid's lying.
I don't believe you. Neither does anybody down at the newspaper. We think that you muscleheads ought to be blown right out of the department. And I'm lighting a fuse under you right now. And we're not going to stop until you and every cop like you is off the city payroll.
I'm sorry about the interruption. There were a few more questions I wanted to ask you.
I'm busy, Matthews. Ask your questions in court and you'll get your answers.
The next morning, it was front page news. Police brutality charged. Foley tells story of his confession. I tried to reason with Williams, but he wouldn't listen. I tried to call you at the station a little while ago.
I hope you're satisfied. You and that pal of yours sure fixed up everything fine.
Well, I had nothing to do with this.
Oh, you kidding. You and your public defender's office. We got a confession out of that guy. Now, what are you trying to do?
Oh, hold on.
You hold on. Confession by brutality. I told you I didn't touch that kid, and I didn't. I wouldn't dirty my hands. You're the guy who asked for police cooperation, and this is the sort of treatment we get. I was out when you called, Mr. Defender, because I was standing on the commissioner's carpet. You might be happy to know that he suspended me until a police board can review the case. Prove that police brutality, Matthews. I might be suspended, but I still can testify. Foley's going to jail, understand? And I hope he gets the book thrown at him.
Well, the lieutenant seems to be perturbed.
He has reason to be. He was just suspended.
That's great. A few more days of that, and we'll have the mayor and the council demanding a full-scale investigation of the entire dirty mess.
Now, as far as I'm concerned, Ed, this story is nothing but rank sensationalism. You had no evidence, no justification, whatever, for publishing it.
I'm not worried. The story is the truth.
Is it? How can you be sure Hanson did touch him? Where's your proof?
I got plenty. I got Foley's letter.
Forget the letter. That's only Hanson's word against Foley's. I don't want to see Hanson or anyone else crucified unless I know that he's guilty. I've got to have proof that Foley was beaten up before he entered that cell.
We know how he looked when he was mugged. We know how he looked a couple of hours later. What else do you need?
I've got to have witnesses that saw Foley right after he came out of Hanson's office. If only I could locate one of the prisoners that was in the cell when he came in.
A waste of time. We've got this guy Hanson cold.
And I say that we haven't. I have to have a witness. I might have gone to the police and asked for their cooperation, but you ruined all of that by blasting that story.
All I know, nobody is charging us with libel or slander. You know why? Because that story is the truth. That boy was beaten. That confession was beaten right out of him. And you want to know something else? I'm going to keep that story going until Hanson and all the other mugs like him are kicked right out of the police department.
There was no arguing with Williams. His mind was made up. I still had my job to do, to find that witness. 3 bits of humanity, any one of which could corroborate Foley's charges of brutality. I found the wife of one of those men. She hadn't seen her husband since he left jail. Apparently, she had no desire to see him again. The mother of the second one didn't know her son's whereabouts either. She hadn't seen him for weeks. She probably wouldn't see him again unless he needed money. There was absolutely no trace of Harry Adams, the third one. I was just about ready to give up. Hello. Yes, this is Matthews. Who?
You heard me, Hanson. I understand you're looking for a few witnesses. I found one, in case you're interested.
Where are you? I'll be right over. Where is he?
In the booth?
Well, I didn't know you were helping us, Hanson. Thanks.
Not you, Matthews. I'm helping myself.
You didn't talk to him?
I didn't push him around, if that's what you mean. This is Harry Adams in the natural state. I knew he was a boozer, so I covered every joint in town.
Hey, Adams. Adams.
It won't work. He's boiled. He must have had a gallon.
Is there a steam bath around here?
A couple of blocks north.
Now, let's get him on his feet and see if we can get him sobered up, pal. Adams had a bender to end all benders. It took 3 hours to steam the alcohol out of him. Sit down, Harry. Make yourself comfortable.
I don't know what you fellas want with me. I ain't done anything wrong. Say, I've seen you before. You're a cop. Honest, I ain't done anything wrong.
I know you haven't, Harry. I just wanted to ask you a few questions.
But I don't know anything. I can't help you. You know, I can't help myself sometimes.
Do you know Ray Foley?
Foley?
Now, there's nothing to be frightened about, Pop. Foley was one of the prisoners in your cell at the county jail. He was admitted the night before you were released.
Well, I remember a couple of fellas. Saunders and Billings. Yeah, his name is, was there another one?
I'll try to remember, Harry. He came in the night before you were released, about 10 o'clock.
Here's his picture. Take a look at it.
Yeah, he does look familiar. Maybe I know him if I saw him. Well, see, I don't want to get anybody into trouble. I just want to be left alone.
I was hoping you could get somebody out of trouble, Harry.
Out of trouble?
Who are you calling?
The attorney room. We'll get Foley down and see if Adams can't make an identification.
Hey, an identification? Yeah. This is the first visiting room I was ever in. As a visitor, folks usually visited me.
Sit down, Pop. Head of the table for you.
What are you doing here?
Well, the boys told me you were holding a little conference with Foley. Mind if I sit in?
I sure do.
It's all right, Lieutenant. He might as well know what's going on.
They said you wanted to talk to me. Said it was important.
That's right, Ray. Sit down. Look him over carefully, Adams. Is he the man who was admitted to your cell about 10 o'clock that night?
Who, him?
Go ahead, answer the question.
Oh, yeah, sure, that's him.
It was around 10 o'clock.
Well, I wouldn't be sure about the time. You see, the other fellows and me, we were just gabbing a little bit.
And when he came through the door, could you see him clearly?
Oh, sure. Why not?
Well, it must have been pretty dark.
Well, you get to see pretty good in the dark when you're in jail a while.
Tell me, Adams, how did Foley look? His face, I mean. Was he cut and bleeding?
No. There was nothing wrong with his face.
Are you sure?
Sure, I'm sure.
He doesn't know what he's talking about. Hanson had just beat me up. I just left him.
Shut up, Foley, you're lying.
I'm not. I was cut, bleeding. Ask the nurse at the hospital. She'll tell you how bad off I was.
Hold it, Foley. Let Adams do the talking. You remember Foley coming in?
Oh, I heard him coming down the hall with the jailer. I didn't know he was coming in with us until he stopped in front of the cell. You know, you can hear everything in jail. And like I said, you can see pretty good sometimes, too.
All right, young fella, you got the upper berth. Climb in and try to get some sleep. Remember, we like it quiet around here.
quiet, he says. And he's whistling all night. Old songs. Nothing but old songs. What are you in for?
Jaywalking.
A wise guy, huh?
Anybody got a cigarette?
Why don't you buy your own?
With what?
Money.
They took it all away from me when they booked me.
Don't you know the regulations? Everybody's allowed to keep a couple of bucks a week for cigarettes and candy.
I didn't know that.
Who are you kidding? You know the score. You've been in before.
I kind of sympathized with him. I mean you. You know, you can get a lot of guys in the cell, but once you're inside, you're alone. Well, after Foley got undressed, the other fellas and me, we just sat around, gabbed a little, and then we went to sleep. About a half hour or an hour after, I felt something touch my arm, and I woke up. I thought maybe Foley wanted a drink of water. He started going through my clothes. Hey, what are you doing?
Nothing at all.
You sure? He just took something out of my pocket.
What's the matter, Bob? What did he do? He's crazy. He said I took something.
Are you sure, mister?
I was just looking for smoke.
I had some money, and it's gone. And he took it.
I didn't. I swear I didn't.
Over your fist. Over your fist, I tell you, will you?
I told you he took it.
I was broke. I thought I could get the jailer to buy me back. I was going to pay him back. Honest, I was.
Stealing's all right on the outside, but not in here.
You got a lot to learn, fella. You might as well learn it right now. Oh!
I didn't try to stop him. He had to learn. You know, it's a funny world in jail. A lot of crooks and no good living together. They don't have much, but what they got, you can't steal.
You're not going to believe him. He's nothing but a drunk.
Oh, I wasn't drunk that night, Foley. After 30 days in the tank, I was cold sober.
He's lying. He's lying. Can't you see he's lying? Hanson told him to say that. He's trying to frame me.
I'm sorry, Foley. I believe him.
Well, you can't. I'm telling you the truth. It's a frame-up. Williams, you read my letter. You published it. You believe me.
I don't know how to say this, Lieutenant. I made a mistake. A bad one. I apologize. I'll print a retraction tomorrow.
You're the public defender. You're my lawyer. You can't believe a skid row bummer. He's the biggest liar in 17 counties.
No, Foley, you are. And I'm going to have to plead you guilty.
Did Hanson get to you, too? You're crooks. All of you. Nothing but crooks. This is a frame-up. A frame-up.
Well, Lieutenant, it's easy to see what happened. After the boys roughed him up, he figured out a way to twist it to his own advantage. He wrote the letter to the paper and blamed you for the beating. He lied to everyone. He even lied to his own lawyer.
I'd appreciate it if you'd tell that to the police board.
First thing tomorrow morning.
Sorry I shot off my mouth. I guess we all need public defenders, even police officers.
I'm glad you see our side. Come on, Pup. Let's go home. You've had a big night.
Holmes, how about a little drink?
Yeah, sure. Coffee. Lieutenant Hanson was reinstated and is now back on the job. Ray Foley was sentenced to from 1 to 10 years. But the judge felt that Foley's malicious lying was an indication of instability and recommended psychiatric care while he was serving out his time. The case you have just seen was brought to a fair and just conclusion through the efforts of a public defender. To Tonight, Philip Morris salutes Public Defender Ellery E. Cuff, Los Angeles County, Los Angeles, California, and his staff for outstanding achievement in the cause of justice. A public defender is an attorney employed by the community and responsible for giving legal aid without cost to any person who seeks it and is financially unable to employ private counsel. It is his duty to defend those accused of crime until the issue is decided in a court of law. The first public defender's office in the United States was opened in January 1913. Over the years, other offices were opened. And today, that handful has grown to a network of lawyers cooperating to protect the rights of our clients. The case you are about to see is about a group of young people who fell for one of the oldest lies in the world. The one that says anything for a thrill.
Who's that? Mr. Black?
Yeah?
Police officer.
Police?
Open up, Mr. Black. We don't want to wake the neighbors shouting through the door. Open up.
What's the trouble, officer? Sure you haven't made a mistake?
This is not a mistake. We made several arrests at the Seaside Club. We picked up your daughter, Ellie.
Ellie at the Seaside?
The Seaside Club.
Well, you're kidding. My kid knows better than to hang out with a crowd like that. She comes from a good home.
Your daughter and 3 other girls, Mr. Black. And every one from good families. Attorney Ralph Gilbert, Judge Bennett, Mr. Alfred Whitney, banker.
Jim, what is... Officer, what's the trouble? Has anything happened to my child?
Your child's in a lot of trouble, Mrs. Black.
Said she was picked up. Picked up for what?
Assault with a deadly weapon.
What, my kid? Are you sure you know what you're talking about?
Oh, Jim, don't argue with him. Officer, where is she? Where is my girl?
She's down at the station with the rest of the kids. You better go down there right away, identify her, and arrange for her release pending a hearing.
Yes. Yes. Jim, get my coat. Hurry.
Aren't you going to get dressed?
Oh, Jim, don't just stand there. Hurry. Ellie's in trouble. My baby's in trouble.
We'll be right down, officer. Okay, Mr. Black. Sorry to have to bring such news. Imagine how Judge Bennett will take it when they break it to him.
The police made their rounds, made their heartbreaking calls in the night. At a fine home or a modest one, a policeman knocked on a door, informing a mother and a father that their child was in trouble with the law. Juvenile delinquents, petty criminals, hardened lawbreakers, that couldn't be further from the truth. For the most part, these were normal, high-spirited kids who made the mistake of falling for one of the oldest lies in the world. The one that says anything for a thrill. The public defender was assigned by the court to the case of the People versus Ellie Black. The charges, assault with a deadly weapon. The possible penalty, an indeterminate sentence to the state reformatory. The circumstances, they really began several months before when Alice Black greeted her husband Jim as he came home from work with her wonderful news.
Hi, darling.
Hi, honey. Mrs. Black, you look great.
That's because I have news for you.
Well, don't tell me we inherited some gold. We could use a couple of extra bucks.
Jim, Ellie's made it. She passed her probation period at Waverly High with flying colors.
That's a smart kid we got. Well, I guess one school's as good as another as long as it makes her happy.
Oh, Waverly High is the best school in town. They've got a swimming pool and the best facilities. And only the children from the finest, wealthiest families in town go there.
Well, we ain't exactly one of the wealthiest families in town, Alice.
Well, that's why I did everything I could to get Ellie transferred there. So she could mingle with the children of the finest homes and make valuable contacts for the future. But, Jim, don't you realize this is the most important time of Ellie's life?
I realize that, Alice. Look, if it's what you want, it's okay with me. The worst can happen is a little extra car fare. Hey, shouldn't Ellie be home now?
Yes, she is home. Sounds like she saved the car fare.
Bye, kids. Thanks for the ride.
See you later.
Bye-bye, Ellie.
Bye. Oh, hi, Mom.
Hello, sweetie. How's my little girl? Riding home in style these days.
They just dropped me off. They're on their way to the beach.
Did they ask you to go along?
No,
Well, that's funny. I think if they're your friends.
I don't belong to their club. They have a cabana at the beach for members only.
Well, don't worry. If you don't belong now, you will soon. Anyone would want you in their club.
I don't stand a chance. Pledge week is up tomorrow. They haven't given me a tumble.
Oh, well, don't worry, darling. They'll get around to it. Who is the girl driving the car?
Sue Bennett. Her father's a judge or something.
Now, you see, darling, that's why I wanted you to go to Waverly High. Her father is a judge, Judge Bennett. Just about the finest family in town.
Oh, I guess that's how come she's president of the Night Riders.
That's a strange name for a school club.
Oh, it isn't a school club. It's off campus. They've got their own clubhouse and everything.
Off campus? Well, that means they're unsupervised, doesn't it?
Oh, Mommy, don't be a square. Any girl would give her right arm to get into that club. I'll never make it. Only the top girls get to belong.
Well, your grades are always good.
Grades don't count. It's what kind of a home you're from and how rich your father is.
Oh, I see. Well, any club should feel honored to have you as a member.
Mom, I want to belong. You don't know what it's like not being one of the crowd.
Don't worry about that club, dear. And if there's anything you need to make you feel as good as the other children, your father and I will see that you get it. Sure in a hurry to get out of her clothes. She sure is. Where's that crazy fire?
I gotta practice my backstroke. Miss Saunders says I ought to be able to make the girls' swimming team.
Imagine that, the girls' swimming team.
Next week, home economics and how to be a happy housewife. What's so terrible about making the swimming team?
Doesn't hold a candle to making the Night Riders, does it, Sugar?
Or don't you want to join the Night Riders? Kids, do you really mean it?
Your excitement's showing. You coming with us?
Of course. I can hardly believe it's true. What kind of a test?
Oh, you know, the usual kind of initiation thing.
Oh, sure. When will it be?
Well, as soon as you put yourself together, why, we'll go for a little ride.
What do I have to do?
You'll see. You sure will. See you at the car.
Okay.
Tell me what I gotta do. Just sit tight, sister. You'll find out when the time comes. How about up there, Sue? Gotcha. Looks like a good spot. The glove compartment. See if it's locked.
I shouldn't be doing anything like that.
Are you with us or against us? It won't bite you, Sugar. Just see if it's open or if it's locked. Well, don't just sit there. Do something. Do what? Oh, this must be the original square from Squareland. Make the hall balloon. See what's inside. That's stealing. Oh, look, kid. What do you think we got you out here for? This is the big test. Can we trust you or can't we? That's taking something that doesn't belong to you. It's the only way we'll be sure you won't rat on us. Rat on you? Why should I rat on you? Who knows? Maybe you're just that kind. The kid was all right. I told her she wouldn't chicken out. Baby, you're okay. As far as I count, you're one of the crowd. But what about this stuff? It doesn't belong to us. Oh, we don't want any of this junk. All we wanted was to test you to see if you had the nerve to be a member of our club.
Get a load of the horrible Hungarian. Well, that's Nick Stanislaus. He was a boilermaker on that big building job I worked on last year.
What's he doing wrestling?
He gets to pick up a couple of extra bucks, I guess.
Don't you ever get such ideas into your head?
Yeah, we could use a couple of extra bucks, too.
Yes, it does get to be quite a struggle sometimes.
Say, we're all caught up on that last bunch of bills, aren't we?
Well, not quite.
What do you mean?
We've got a growing daughter, Jim.
That kid can go through more shoes.
Not shoes, Jim. Dues.
Dues? What's she done, join the Elks or something?
She's been pledged to the Night Riders.
The Night Riders? A daughter of mine in an outfit like that?
Oh, it's just an innocent name, Jim. They're trying to be grown up and sophisticated.
Night Riders? Where do we figure that one out? Why'd they call themselves the Cutthroats?
The boys have a club by that name.
What?
Oh, Jim. The point is, either you're in with the crowd or you're a drip.
Oh. Drip means dues, huh?
$5 a month.
$5? $5 a month?
It's for all sorts of things. Weenie roast, beach, entertaining their guests. Children need a little spending money these days.
But she's already got a $5 a week allowance. $5 more to give to $25 a month.
But 50 cents a day for lunches and 40 cents for bus fare. Erle's allowance barely covers her expenses.
Yeah? Well, whose idea was it to send her to a school clear across town?
I wouldn't be satisfied having Erle go anywhere else. Everyone knows it's the finest school in the city. The least we can do is sacrifice a bit for our daughter's future.
Sacrifice a little bit? I don't spend $25 a month on myself.
Dad, I don't have to belong if you don't want me to. I can tell him I've decided not to join. You do no such thing. Now, see what you've done. Don't you realize it's an honor for Erle to be invited to join that club? Well, the fathers of those girls are the most important men in town. Doctors, lawyers...
So what am I? A bum, I guess.
Oh, no one's criticizing you, Jim. You do the best you can. But don't you realize how important it is that Erle has the right kind of contacts now?
So she doesn't marry a plumber, a guy who drinks beer, watches wrestling matches.
That has nothing to do with it, Jim.
Oh, I know, Alice. I want the kid to have every break, too. Okay, Ellie. From now on, you're a member of the loyal and respected Order of Night Riders.
If it's a hardship on you, honest, Daddy, I don't have to belong.
Oh, forget it, honey. What's an extra $5 or so? I could always go a couple of falls with a horrible Hungarian.
Oh, Daddy, thanks. Thanks.
Not bad, huh, baby?
You look great. Gee, I'm having a wonderful time, Don.
Come on, honey, give her a little. I mean, when you're not making with a beat, baby, your eyeballs are dragging.
Why don't you shut up?
Hey, Sue. Police question number 91000.
Who'd you rather be dancing with? Me or young King Arthur over there?
Even you ought to know the answer to that one.
What's the plumber's daughter got that you don't have more of?
Are you kidding? What are you laughing at? And incidentally, if you two are so cold, why don't you move closer to the fire? Us cold? It looks as if you're the one who's getting the deep freeze.
Who gave you the right to do that?
I don't let just anybody kiss me.
Just anybody? Listen, I thought you gals didn't let drips get into the Night Riders.
The Night Riders are a regular crowd, Don. You ought to know that. You call that kind of a thing being regular?
Maybe she just pretended to be regular so she could get into the Night Riders.
I didn't ask to join. I was invited in.
You can get invited out, too. You know, I think you picked a real sawed-off square. Well, if you guys are going to lower your standards, why, maybe you're not the kind of crowd that we want to travel around with.
Wait a minute, Don. We can take care of this in our own way. Give us a couple of minutes.
You know, that kid's got a real crazy right hand. Yeah?
What do you want to do, quiz with the top man on campus? Don's all set to be next student body president. The Falcons would give anything to get him and his crowd away from us. One more trip like that, and they'll go to the Falcons. All he did was kiss you. What's so terrible? If that's the kind of a club this is, maybe I don't want to be in it. We heard about the strings your mother pulled to get you into Waverly. How's it going to sound when she finds out? What do you mean? Oh, nothing much. Just that her daughter isn't fit to associate with better type young ladies. Isn't that just about it, Peg? Just about it. Oh, you wouldn't. Yes, we would. Convinced, sugar? You want to walk out? Then you want to stay. All right, down on your knees. What? I said down on your knees, Pledge. All right, repeat after me. I promise that in the future, I will try my best to be a good and loyal member of the Night Riders. I will try my best to be a good and loyal member of the Night Riders. And do everything I can for the good of the club. And do everything I can for the good of the club. Okay, you can get up now. The first thing you better do is go back and apologize to Don for acting like a square. Okay, dear. Do your duty as a Night Rider. I'm sorry, Don, for acting the way I did. It's just that you took me by surprise.
Oh, that's okay, kid. You'll get used to it after a while. Hey, let's get a little life into this party. Yeah? Well, who wants to play chicken? Now you're talking. Who's going to ride with me?
I will.
Go up the road 2 miles. Start in 10 minutes. Quarter after on the nose, eh?
Right.
And when you come back down, blink your lights. Okay, let's go. Who's going to ride with me? I'll take you and Sue, okay?
Okay. What's it like? What does he mean by chicken? You'll find out. It's the thrill of a lifetime. Don, you're over the center stripe.
That's the idea.
There's another car coming. We may hit.
He'll pull over.
Suppose he doesn't.
Don't worry, kid. They always kick.
Chicken, no one beats Don at chicken. all those girls at the country club will really envy you. You just wait and see. Sure. Well, aren't you even excited about it? Everything's turned out so well. You being invited to join the Night Riders and now this wonderful affair at the country club?
Sure, I'm excited. Only it's...
Oh, I know what it is. Tonight after the dance, they're finally going to pass on your membership in the Night Riders, aren't they?
I'll never make it. Gee, Mom, I'm scared.
Oh, now, Ellie, I told you not to worry. But just think how I'd feel if they didn't accept you after making all these pretty dresses and getting your father to give us all that money for initiation and dues. Why, I wouldn't hear of you not being accepted and not making the grade.
Oh, what's the use? I'm just not their type or something. Nothing I ever do is right.
Oh, that's nonsense, dear. You just remember to be pleasant and polite and you won't have a thing to worry about. And with this pretty dress and your pretty face, I know one will be able to resist you. You just wait and see.
One glass of wine?
Oh, I love some.
Having a nice time? Oh, I'm having a wonderful time, thank you.
I guess it's no secret who's got the biggest man on campus all tied up in knots.
She's got the nerve to come to the country club in a homemade dress.
Her mother makes all her clothes for her. I think it's the most attractive dress, Sugar.
It's a disgrace.
What's the use in stalling? I think it's about time we decided whether we want that trip in our club or not. I like Ellie. She's a nice kid. Nice kid? You mean nice square? She's already chickened out on us twice. How do you know we can trust her? Look, she just doesn't fit in our crowd. We've got to stick together. Anyone who can chicken out about one thing can chicken out about another. Who knows when she'll turn and rat on a whole bunch of us.
Boy, did I have to fight through a mob to get these. Here, honey, to the mostest little gal in the Night Riders.
I'm not in the Night Riders yet. Anyone for chicken? What makes you think you won't chicken out again? I asked if anybody wanted to take a little ride. I'll do the driving.
Hey, that's the spirit I like. I'll ride with you.
How about you, Sugar? What's the point of it? To see who'll chicken out first.
What's the matter, Sue? You look a little worried.
You never saw me worry about anything, Don.
Well, then let's go. This one I don't want to miss. I'll get the rest of the gang.
Kids are kids wherever you find them, until they get trapped by the wrong set of ideas. Then they suddenly find they're on the brink of becoming criminals. All night long, from homes in all sections of the city, the parade of parents continued, as it does almost every night of the year, in answer to a call in the night. Fortunately for these young people, the occupants of the other car escaped without serious injury. The Night Riders were smashed. Don, Chuck, and several of the older boys received jail sentences as a condition of probation. The 5 girls, including my client, Ellie Black, were placed on probation with suspended sentences and learned the most important lesson of their lives, that life isn't a succession of thrills and cheap, unsupervised escapades. The case you have just seen was brought to a fair and just conclusion through the efforts of a public defender. Public Defender Hugh Stanton of Shelby County, Memphis, Tennessee.